Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today with all of you in such an important event. So to start up and warming the day, let's ask the first question to our panelists. What are the best communication strategies that the sector should employ to better communicate the benefits of the mining industry? I would encourage to first answer Angie, later Luis, following Jose Jalavalera, and then we finish this question with Alfredo Phillips. 2 minutes per person. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Christopher, and thanks for inviting me to participate on behalf of Torex Gold. I'm just going to take a minute to provide a little bit of context about our company. So Torex is a mid-tier gold producer. We have operations in Guerrero State in a very remote area between Mexico City and Acapulco. And our company was formed about a decade ago. We started commercial production in 2016, and we literally built the mine from the ground up. And today we're quite a sizable operation. In fact, as of 2020, we were Mexico's second largest gold producer. We have about 1,000 direct employees and another 1,700 contractors. And 99% of our workforce is from Mexico, with about 60% from Guerrero State. And at the end of this quarter, we're going to be releasing a feasibility study for our Media Luna project, which is an underground copper and gold mine about 6 kilometers from where we currently operate. And that really represents our future in Guerrero State. In 2021, we achieved record production, and more importantly, we have an industry-leading safety record. We recently celebrated 10 million hours without a lost time injury, and we had recorded only 1 lost time injury in 2021. And we really credit this performance to the strong workplace culture we've built over the years with our employees. So in terms of your question, in terms of our approach to communications, for us, mining responsibly, sharing the benefits of our operations, and earning the trust of our local communities through honest and frequent communication has always been central to the way we do our business. We know that words are empty if we're not living our values and walking the talk every single day. So a key feature of our strategy has been what we call Kodak Agreements. And essentially, these are community development agreements. We have 11 communities surrounding our operations, and we have 11 unique Kodak Agreements with each of them. And each of them have their own elected committees to help define community projects according to local needs and priorities. And these agreements are updated annually. And through these agreements, we built churches, we built schools, we built healthcare facilities, local infrastructure such as road and clean water facilities. And in 2021, our direct community investment was about $5 million US. And all of this has been based on what communities say they need, not based on what our company thinks they need. And I think this is a frequent mistake that mining companies have made over the years in terms of not spending the time to authentically listen and really engage in productive dialogue with communities to determine priorities. And instead, they do what the mining company thinks is best, albeit with good intentions, but I don't think this has resulted in the best outcomes over the years. And so in addition to Kodak Agreements, we have offices in various of our local communities. So we're very highly accessible and have a real presence there. We also have monthly meetings in all 11 of our communities to foster open and transparent dialogue. And we're very deliberate in celebrating all community development milestones with our employees and with our local community members as we look to improve our communities together. And so I would say that our communications approach has been sort of what I would characterize as low amplitude and very high frequency, being very present, using transparent and frequent communications against a strong set of values to really earn the trust and support of our partners.
Very good, Angie. That's a very strong answer. Luis Camargo, kindly share us your
yes.
comments.
Hi, Christopher. How are you?
Hey.
Good morning to all. It's very good to see here some nice face like Alfredo. Congratulations on your nomination for Argonaut. Pepe Javalera, it's good to see you from this place. And nice to meet you, Angie. I didn't have a chance to meet you yet. So just to answer your question, we truly believe that the best way to get the best results is to strengthen the channel platform through the communities. Yeah? As you may know, we are based in Oaxaca. We are probably one of the most complex states in Mexico for mining, together with Guerrero, because we have only 570 municipalities in the state. So the complexity is that if you are about to have a exploration program in some areas, that may include 3 or 4 municipalities. So the best way to do, to get the results is definitely to have a better approach with the community, to be there, to be very transparent with them, always never providing false expectations to them, trying to understand the local culture. This is very important, very, very important. We need to get embedded in this environment and be empathic with their needs. Yeah. We have transformed our company in the last 2 years since we had a low-profile communication system. Now we are much more focused on show the benefits of the company in the area, and we believe that we were able to mitigate part of the campaigns of attacks from the anti-mining sector. We are a mining sector, we defend our sector, but also there is the other side. So we should not underestimate the power of this area. So we believe that the best way is definitely to get to be transparent, to be emphatic with the local community. We get inside to understand what is their needs. So that is our proposal.
Very good. Very good. Quite good answer. Jose Jabalera, it's always a pleasure to hear you.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Christopher, everyone, Angie, Luis, and Alfredo. Nice to see you. Well, thank you. I'm Jose Jabalera I'm the General Director for Mining Development at the Ministry of Economy. So I'm in my department, I'm more from the side of promotion and solving problems, or get rid of with the companies, get through the new investments and the new relations with communities. Also, we release these guides and protocols for the responsible mining. It's what we thought that we should do. We need to know that we are a very specific industry. First one, we are not selling products to the general public. It's very important that, because sometimes we say, oh, how can the people don't know mining? Yes, because we are not selling to everyone. It's one of the thing. Another thing that is very important, we need to recognize that the mining past is not that good, as we need to mention, and we need to put a different from the past mining in the old days, and now the responsible mining that everyone is been participating. And also, very good advice is to hire local people. Local people know traditions, culture, leaderships in the communities, and you are a new neighbor. You need to know the community, the forms of organizations, who wants mining, what happened in the past, everything you need to know about the first one. We encourage companies, since explorations, you need to do this base analysis. How is the community just before you get there? What you need to improve, what the community wants, be empathetic, as Luis said. You need to know what they want. Also, some people will have to, we want to have a new life, or a better life. Some people don't want to move, because these are, most of the parts are the rural parts, or the out of the cities. That is different, the knowledge and the how they see the life in the communities. And you need to be very respectful of this, and try to explain why are you here. And they said, where will you have a new form of organization and new benefits for the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jose. Alfredo, kindly share us your thoughts.
Thank you, Christopher. Good morning, Angie, Luis, Pepe, and everyone out there listening to us. I'll build on what Angie was saying, and I'll build on it because I worked for Torex for 7 years, so I'm quite familiar with that. Now in Argonaut, there was a recent study done, a doctoral thesis study at the Colegio de Sonora by Ernestina Arvizu Armenta. And she focuses exactly on this point, that on this issue that Angie was mentioning, the logic behind what you do with communities. And one of the issues she was mentioning was that CSR usually focuses on what the companies are interested in, what the companies think the communities want, and that the real focus should be on empowering the communities and getting exactly what it is that they want. And she analyzed CSR programs across four different companies. She took Fresnillo, La Herradura, she took Grupo México, she took Alio Gold, and she did Argonaut. And the analysis she came up with, the successful programs in communication are those that are really focusing on understanding the community requirements and not pushing what the companies might think the communities really need, and focusing on a diverse program. She analyzes 5 axles of work. The first one she analyzes is the employment and jobs, making sure that they understand what the benefits are, and that there are real benefits and they're empowered. And then she talks about academic and research programs with respected and institutions and universities, which makes it transparent. The issue that you were also that was mentioned in the previous panel about transparency is very relevant. And then she goes, environmental, cultural, health, sports, and I think looking at all of those really gives you an understanding of where the community wants to take itself, what the community's culture, how they see themselves in the mirror. And that is what leads to really successful communication, I believe. And I mean, I'm not saying it, because you have to listen to me, but there is empirical evidence, such as this doctoral thesis by Ernestina that was produced and presented last year for her PhD, about these CSR programs and the way she understands that you need to listen to the communities. So I leave it at that.
Thank you very much. That's a very good comment. So how about if the next question is about if you're sharing your thoughts on what is missing from the general public to believe that mining is a responsible industry. Let's speak in the same order. Angie, please, you go first.
Yeah, sure. I think, first, as an industry, we have to acknowledge that historically mining has not always been the most responsible industry. The goalposts were different, government regulations were different, but society has evolved. And as an industry globally, whether it be addressing environmental issues or past safety records or poor engagement with communities or other key partners, there are many legacy issues which today still results in a lot of false perceptions about mining. And I think this is just a fact, and we have to acknowledge this as we map out how we're going to move forward. And I think while we've come a really long way as an industry, we still must evolve. The general public doesn't hear about good safety. They don't hear about our industry's essential contribution to modern society, but they do hear about fatalities. They hear about accidents. They hear about environmental disasters. And so I think, we have to, as an industry, continue to share best practices and really optimize the way that we manage risk so that these kind of catastrophic incidents no longer happen. And I think on the whole, those who are touched by mining often have different and much more positive perceptions than the general public. We all know mining has the power to improve so many lives, whether it be through direct employment or procurement, community development, and even transitioning to a green economy. And I think those who are associated with mining are more often than not very positive and very proud to be associated with the industry. I would also say, as an industry, I think we're really good about telling each other about the good things we do through forums like this, for example. And don't get me wrong, forums like this are extremely important in terms of sharing best practices and developing the strong relationships to really propel our industry forward. But the message doesn't necessarily get out to the general public who continue to hold these misconceptions about the industry. And so I think together we need to do a better job in telling our story and the positive impact that we have on those that we touch. And I do think, it's happening. I think of the work that CanCham does. I think of the work that ChemMX does in terms of outreach. And if you haven't read ChemMX's latest sustainability report, it's excellent and really tells the story about how mining is improving lives in Mexico. But I also think we need to focus more on youth in particular and education about the benefits of mining and its importance in society. And at our operations in Guerrero, we spend a lot of time on local outreach to children and to youth so that they grow up understanding the positive contributions that mining makes. And so that maybe they tell their parents and their grandparents and their aunts and uncles who maybe have those negative perceptions so that those begin to shift. And I think this is particularly important as we look to attract the next generation of talented workers who, by and large, are very focused on social responsibility and really focused on making a positive difference in society. So I think, changing perceptions, it's not going to happen overnight, but I do think that focusing on youth will be really key in eventually positioning our industry as a very noble industry and a very responsible industry.
That's a very good idea, Angie. Hey, Luis, kindly tell us what you think about it.
Yes, I just would like to start on the statement that has been done by Angie about we just need to recognize that we have not been in the right or the desired position to be responsible. But we need to say that we have been improving a lot. In my case, for instance, this is my second time working in the mining sector. I've been working in the extractive sector for many years. The first one was in the early 90s. And comparing the early 90s mining sector to now, we can see a big improvement in terms of awareness of taking the responsibility of being focused on this goal. What I can tell you is we should only get involved in the environment we work with. Yeah, I can give you an example as being a mining responsible company. In the COVID pandemic, we were able to understand or learn together with the health sector, with the community, and get involved in this. We were not sure exactly where we would end up, but we were fundamental for the health area for the community we are involved. We could provide lots of help. We could provide medicines. We could provide equipments for the communities. Also, we needed to help with the support with the dead people. That is the reality. So we learn it together. And then we believe that the sentiment, the feeling of the community was very responsive in terms that we liked your proposal. We liked the way you acted. And that is, I think, sometimes doing simple things makes us more responsible. Yeah, that's, I would encourage everyone to make a reflection on that, because we have this kind of challenges in every day. Every day we have. Yeah. Of course, we should take care about the safety measures. We should take care about the environment, our people, everything. Yeah.
It makes sense. Jose Jabalera, what would you
Yes.
see and this about this question?
Thank you. As Angie said, this won't happen overnight. It is we will take time. It's been taking time, but I think that the first thing is we are not measure the perception, the general perception. We need to have some specific perception survey or something to measure how we are doing with different campaigns. I know that ChemMX and the mining companies are doing big campaigns of to improve the perception. This is the Mexico Minero and all of these things. but I think that we are not measure this, how is working, if it's working, how is the real perception about the whole country or the whole community, what's the specific points. I know that at this time are very good surveys and tools that we can use it to measure how is the perception, where if we are improving this and all this. And also another thing that, as I said, we are not the mining companies and the mining industry is not like selling to everyone products. They are not retail and all this, but we can, or you can do strategic alliances with other companies, with other products. As it's been, I saw like a campaign in Australia from a mining company that start to work with the company of the beers, that the cans, where they come the cans of the beers and all this, and they have a very good change of perception of the mining companies. And I think that these years we are in a very good position, because everyone is talking of the electricity transition, is talking about electric cars and all this, and the minerals, metals and minerals are the base of all of this. We need to take this opportunity to work and to improve the perception of the mining industry.
Alfredo?
Thank you, Christopher. Once again, I'll build on what Angie said, because I think she's correct in what she mentioned, and I'll bring an example. If you look at Luis's beautiful vest, his security vest, and the embroidering on the vest, this was mentioned in Reforma on Sunday and Monday in full pages, not an ad. It was a reporter doing an investigation on exactly the successful nature of textile workers with the mines. And we have the same thing in La Colorada and Sonora. And I think getting these stories out there so that it's not the companies telling the story, it's the people telling the stories. I think that's where we can be very successful in changing the perception. It's all an issue of perception, and perception is what you're giving people in terms of media, and how often and how transparent. I mean, my stories are unfortunately fortunately out of Toric's archives, but I remember taking NGOs to Media Luna, many years ago. This was probably 2016, and the NGOs were very combative at the beginning, and towards the end of the visit, they were all saying, "How do we work together?" Because they had seen what mining really looks like. So it's a process of education. It's a process of getting other people to tell the stories, of building this narrative. And I think, my favorite story is Karen Flores and Jimena Valverde were in a taxi cab 2 years ago at the convention in Acapulco. And they were talking to the cab driver, and they came in running to the breakfast of Camumex with Fred and said, you won't believe what we just heard. The cab driver was talking about Media Luna in Acapulco. So once you penetrate the social psyche with these stories, you start creating something that people are actually proud of. And this goes back to the first point. Give the communities what they want, not what you think they need, and they'll be proud of what they have, and that pride then transforms into education, transparency, and a wholly different narrative, which I believe is where we are taking it. I think we're being successful. We're getting there, and we have to continue 100% on this line, I believe.
Thank you very much, Alfredo. That's a very good follow-up. So the next question I would like to set up with all of you, if what are the main misconceptions about mining and how you're showing the true face of mining? Angie?
Sure. And I do, before I start into this question, want to acknowledge all the good work that Alfredo did at Torex. He certainly blazed a trail for me coming in, and so want to acknowledge that. And I think, what he said around telling stories, I couldn't agree more. I think I have this adage that facts tell and stories sell, and I think really it's the stories that are going to capture the hearts and minds of the public and really start to improve the perceptions of mining. So in terms of main misconceptions, I think there's so many. I could talk forever about this, but I'm sure my panel colleagues have a lot to say about this as well. I think unfortunately many people that aren't close to the mining industry continue to perceive it as this kind of old pickaxe industry. When people think about underground mining, they think of something dark and dirty and unsafe. And for myself, I've been in the industry 20 years, and even my own family, when I need to go underground, they worry about me. They worry until I get back to surface. But when they see pictures of how bright it is underground, how clean, and the use of technology, they're always so surprised and relieved that it's so safe. So, I think just getting the message out that we are a safe industry. In Ontario, Canada, where I come from, we're actually one of the safest industries in the province, even more so than sectors like healthcare and agriculture and transportation. So I think we need to get that message out, because I do believe it's a key barrier in attracting youth and talent to our industry. I think there's many other misconceptions. I think one of them is that this perception that mining takes more than it gives, and this perception too that, that mining can be seen to be harmful to the environment. But I want to talk about one key perception that's very close to my heart, and that is that the mining industry is a man's industry, that there's little room for women. I think, still today, you'd be hard pressed to find young women who put the mining industry at the top of their list in terms of where they want to spend their careers. And this needs to change. I've got 2 young girls myself, and I constantly encourage them to consider mining as a career, because it's been so good to me over the years. And it's something that really, really can make a positive difference in society, as we all know. And so, I think the fact is that mining continues to suffer from a lack of gender diversity. I think spanning all levels of the organizations, from entry level positions to management to corporate, all the way up to boards of directors. But I think the good news is, with the increased focus on diversity, this is really changing and improving. And at Torex, I'm proud to say we're leading the way. We've got 50% female representation on our executive team. Our CEO, Jody Kazenko, is a woman. We've got 44% representation on our board, 44%. And in our corporate office, about 40% of our employees are female. But I think it's in the operations where we all have to do more work. At Torex, we've got about 14% of females working in the operations, but we're working really hard to change this by really being deliberate about building a female pipeline into those operational roles where the roles that really touch the metal and the money. I'm just going to give you one quick example of how we're doing this, and Alfredo will know the story for sure. In 2017, a woman named Stella, she was from one of our local communities. She was trained and hired to drive a 90-ton haulage truck. Like, these are really big trucks. And she very quickly demonstrated herself as one of our safest and one of our very best drivers. And so out of that, we began a haul truck operator training program for local females. In our first cohort, we trained 16 local women, and in total now we've trained 27, and 16 continue to work for us today. They're all from Guerrero, and they're all proudly breaking the stigmas on the role of women in mining. And so it's a small step, but I think as an industry, we need to do more of that if we're really going to achieve more diversity in the workplace and shift that perception that mining is only a man's industry.
Thank you, Angie. Very interesting points. Luis, share us your thoughts.
Yes, thank you. The misconceptions we have in the sector, party is responsible, the responsibility comes from the mining sector. Why? Because we are not able to communicate properly the benefits the industry is doing in the sector. That is the big challenge for us, and we should really reinforce putting all of efforts on this area to get to the point that people will understand what is really the mining sector, the modern mining sector, is particularly in Mexico. But the misconceptions comes, for instance, in the dealing with the vital element of the nature, which is the water. I do believe that is very, very delicate issue that the sector should really pay attention and put more time to deal with this issue. I give you an example. For instance, we have been attacked all the time that we contaminate, we contaminate the environment, we use the water from the undergrounds, which is all completely false. For instance, we have a treatment plant that collected the sewage of one of the municipality here nearby. We treat this, instead of sending the sewage directly to the river, we treat this and use it in our process. So we've been in a constant campaign of communication of this, and we are still not in a position to people understand what are the benefits for this issue. This is one of the misconceptions. Another important misconception, I believe, resides on the safety. Yeah, I truly believe that we were in the most high standards of safety in our industry. We pay attention a lot on this. We spend a lot of time on this. We have a huge number of committees to address the issues, and so we just needed to communicate this properly to the audience, various audience, but particularly with the local community. The local community is our best partner in this issue.
It makes total sense. Jose Javalera, kindly share us what you think about it.
Well, what I can say, it's hard for me in my position. We are working a lot for the misconception inside of the government, because sometimes, as you said, not all the people know what's the mining. They know all the benefits and how it works, how it's different now and then, and we are working a lot inside of the government. We are building this real data of the mining that we are putting the real numbers, the real numbers to stop these different numbers and different conceptions of the different ministers of the government, because it's very important to know the real numbers, to not use another numbers when that benefits my discussion or my messages. And also the minister Tatiana Cloutier is talking a lot of these numbers with the others ministers to improve the knowledge of the mining and what we are doing. And she encourages to well, with this reopen of the economies and to start to work with the real numbers. What are the investments, the big investment that the mining industry are doing in the country? What benefits, and also because these big investments are outside of the big cities. You do and you provide new works outside of the big city. You provide this economy to the rural or the outside of the big companies. And also this year we will do this perception survey to know what we are seeing in the mining industry. We will be a general perception survey to know the numbers, to know and to build a strategy with all the mining industry. We will be a work together for the perception and to let to know the general people what is the mining and what we are doing.
That's very important, Jose Javalera. We appreciate what you guys are doing inside the government. Alfredo, what do you think about this question?
Well, I'll go back to Angie again. So we're doing the 1-2 there, Angie. That story about the operators is fantastic. We did the same thing in La Colorada, where we actually painted the truck pink. So we actually have a pink Yucle, this enormous pink truck. which is now sometimes driven by men. So we're breaking that gender barrier and trying to focus on the inclusion. But I think that's very important. These are the misconceptions. The women operators in Peñasquito, I did a story many years ago before I joined Torex. We did a documentary, and we interviewed women operators, and those were 400-ton trucks. I mean, these were massive trucks, much larger than the ones we have in La Colorada or the ones that you have in Media Luna. And they were the safest drivers. The women were actually the safest drivers amongst all the drivers, empirical evidence. So I think that breaking those barriers and making it transparent. Again, we need to go to the issues of transparency. And I think we need to go to the issues of doing things outside the box. There's a wonderful project, which I think, and Christopher saw it, and I know it in Camimix. This project done by a photographer, Rodolfo Lavariega, in Sonora, called Proyecto Contrastes, where he had ballerinas photographed at the airport, with big machines. And so Lourdes McPherson, one of my coworkers, a wonderful woman, and Margarita Bejarano at the cluster in Sonora, and Alberto Orozco decided, well, let's take this photographer to La Colorada. And so he took these photographs, fantastic photographs of delicate ballerinas, but strong but delicate, with these huge machines, and that starts sending messages that the industry is different, that it can balance the beauty and elegance of a ballerina in white with this enormous front-loading scoop, where she looks like a little toy ballerina in a Tonka toy truck. And I encourage you to see these. They're probably on the webpage of the Cluster of Sonora. But these kinds of projects that think outside the box, I think, can help us also to change these misconceptions in the issues of inclusion, in the issues of safety. And again, it's the stories, but the stories being told by the stakeholders themselves, not by the companies. So you get the women operators to tell their story. You get the men who go home to tell their story that 10 million hours without LTIs is a great achievement in any industry. If I remember, Fernando Alaniz, former chairman of Camimex, used to show us data where the mining industry in Mexico was one of the safest. It was the second safest industry, according to the registry of the Mexican Social Security Institute. And but that information, we need to get it out there. We need to make it more transparent.
Thank you very much. So, dear panelists, we're going for our third and last questions, which I would encourage you to also including them in your answers, the final remarks, and try to squeeze the most you can so that we can let the next panel to go on. It is, how can the sector improve its public acceptance and ensure its long-term? Angie, Luis, Jose Jabalera, Alfredo, in this order.
Sure. Yeah, just quickly, I think it all begins at home within the operations. I think it's treating our employees, our partners, our host communities with dignity and respect, and being completely authentic about it. I think authenticity is key here. And I think too, this is not work that can be, just delegated to the HR team or the community relations team. This is work that really needs real leadership presence. And I can tell you at our site, our VP Mexico, Faisal Rodriguez, who you'll be hearing from tomorrow, he spends a lot of time in our local communities. He's known by local community members. He's trusted. And, he really sees communications as part of his job. And for that matter, so do all of our key operational managers. And so does our CEO. And so I would also say that the rise of ESG, we're hearing a lot about ESG these days. I think if done right, it's going to help propel our industry forward in terms of being seen to be responsible. And, the global sustainability standards that we're seeing, such as the World Gold Council's responsible gold mining principles, which our company recently adopted, again, I think can be really effective in helping to ensure responsible management across the entire life cycle of the mining industry. I do say this with a caveat, though. I think, while I believe the rise of ESG is very positive as investors increasingly require this, part of their investment criteria. I do think as an industry, we have to be really careful not to start treating it as a bit of a tick box exercise to satisfy investors and to lose sight of the bigger picture. I think the worst thing that we can do as an industry is to be seen to be doing any sort of greenwashing, which again is another term we're hearing a lot these days, because I think that's going to put us backwards, not forwards. And so again, I think we just need to be authentic. We need to act responsibly. We need to say and do what we say we're going to do. And I think this is going to be critical in improving the perception of mining over the long term. And again, we've talked about it a lot. I think we need to continue to tell those collective stories about the positive impact mining has on society and on all the lives we touch.
Very good. Luis?
Sure, to be very quick here, I think we should look at the future always, but in the same time, we should see what we've been done in the past. And we can see now we have transformed the industry. We should reinforce, again, transparency, communication, and the stakeholders, particularly with the communities. Yeah, if we have these three goals or the three pillars in your strategy, you definitely have this success. That's our belief. But I just would like to finish with something that I could not tell you before in the last question is we are very proud that in the company we have 20% of our payroll formed by women. And some of them in the management areas. So we have been opening in reinforcing this area, and we would love to continue to have more and more women in our workforce. Thank you all for the time. See you next time.
Thank you, Luis. Pepe?
Yes, I think that as you say, you need to know very well your stakeholders around of the company. Know what were their interests, what they think, where are they moving, in order to build a long-term relation. You will be the mining companies are a very long-term relationship, and also you will need to start since the exploration. We are working a lot with the exploration companies because sometimes they get and they know they won't last. They will do explorations. It's a long time, but they won't build a mine. They won't stay for the long relations. And we need to work with them, a lot of work to the public relations since the explorations. And also start to work from the local communities, then the municipalities, the states, and all this. And very important, as Angie said, that the direction of the company, the main spot, or the guys that are working in the company knows the communities. Go to the communities, stay with them, talk to them, that the people know who is inside of the mining companies. Sometimes they don't know where they are. They only know the people from their community relations, and that's it. And it's very important also to let you know your providers and suppliers, what are your thoughts of the communities and all that, and they need to also adopt them. Who are the relation with the communities, because they going inside of the company all the time, and need to have also the responsibility in the communities. Thank you so much, and have to see you.
Thank you, Pepe. Alfredo, your final remark.
Thank you. I'll go back to the issue of having the communities understanding what they want. There was, I'll go to another example. There was an op-ed by the chairman of the Fraser Institute and the vice chairman on the 21st in the National Post in Canada. And they were talking about ESG and what they called stakeholder capitalism. And the point they were making was, you need to go back to basics. I mean, and I'm interpreting it, but it's about the communities and not about external institutions telling you what to do with the communities. It's really listening to the communities. And I think the successful projects are those that listen to their communities I think the programs like the Codecops in Minera Media Luna, the programs that Luis has in Cuscatlán, the programs that we have, La Colorada Vive, really focus on getting that information from the community. And I think that has to be our focus in the long term. That's the only way to do it. And I think the role played by Pepe Cavalera is fundamental. And I'll go back to the doctoral thesis document where Ernestina talks about the role of the government as a facilitating role to get people to listen to each other. And I think if we get all of these components together and we have a more transparent industry and sector, and we're not afraid of going out there and showing what we do, inviting NGOs, on site and saying, oh, you're complaining, but look at it. It's right here. It's in front of you. You're walking on the tailings, you're seeing the way we operate. You're seeing the safety track record. That'll get us in the long run to where we really want to be.
Thank you, Fabio. We definitely agree with those remarks. So we can say that in general terms, what the four of you share in common is the importance of communicating with the communities, the importance also of sharing among ourselves what the best practices are so that we can improve ourselves, the importance and the relevance of attacking the misconceptions with transparency, with the heart, with honesty, outside our communities, outside the public, but also inside the government, which is something where it's also part of the very important part of our environment. So we have just one small question, just to not too obvious it, if perhaps one of you would like to answer. I find it interesting if the one related to the mining fund, where someone from the public asks, even though the mining fund disappeared, how do the companies ensure that the host communities benefit as before? Does anyone would like to take it so that we can change to the next panel?
Well, the mining fund doesn't disappear. The company is still paying this percentage, this tax, but the mining, well, as we know, the mining fund, they moved to another ministers or another programs. Now it's in the program of the schools, improvement of schools, and also in this year will be improvement of the health infrastructure or health for the health industry, and well, not health industry, the health minister, and they will move this, and we are working with them with the education minister and also the public health minister to try to put in first these mining communities where this tax or this money came from, and we're working and will be, and also I know that it's not a responsibility from the mining community for the mining companies to give to the communities the basic services as water, as roads, as everything. And we're open to hear from the communities and also from the companies what are the needs for the communities, and try to get with the right minister who is in charge these things of the communities.
I'd like to add just quickly, Christopher, one of the things that we've been thinking, and we did this at Torex before we had the mining fund to sort of bridge the mining fund. And this is something that the National Geological Survey does all the time. We needed to make the communities participate in the project. So we created a special foundation to provide them with resources. And it was based on a percentage of X amount per ounce produced. So the community then they have a stake in the project itself. In Almaden, where I'm a board member, we're also looking at this project to see if we can do something similar in Puebla to make the communities participate, and they would be shareholders in a sense, not in a board sense, but they would share the wealth of the project itself in the duration of the project. and you know, you can do it as a royalty, you can do it as many things, you know, and I know many people will say you're crazy, but making the communities part of the project beyond the value chains really empowers them to feel that, you know, that it's theirs, and that they have ownership. And then you have communities defending the projects, like you had with Luis's project in Cuscatlan. You had thousands of people saying, no, we defend this project because it's our project.
Thank you all. Well, we need to switch to the other panel. I really appreciate all your comments. It was a pleasure hearing all of you, and certainly your participation will be on the summaries.